the incrementalism of all the Federal Reserve banks is warranted.
Yeah.
Whether rates should have ever gone negative is left to your imagination. But
Yeah, and look, the money went where the money should go at that point in time.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not like we became more global, and because of that.
yeah,
And there's a lot of good things to be said from that.
yeah. So when we think about, global cash balances today are the largest they've ever been. So when I think about what happened is the first QE that happened in the U.S. and Europe and Bank of Japan, Bank of England, had to fill a hole, right? There was a hole given the global financial crisis. Global financial institutions were insolvent. They had to print that money.
No
They
question.
had to inject it
No question.
in the banks. And that's something that you and I would have done if we were running these institutions.
question.
Whether or not we agree with expanding Fed balance sheets,
Didn't matter.
we'd have to do it. So the second part was the part that felt good, the part where we started to see some growth
Right.
and started to see cash getting distributed. And the interesting thing is Fed policy was unintentionally distributive to the wealthy.
Yeah,
Because the
that's
wealthy
what could
are the
afford
only
the
people that
assets,
could
yeah.
use leverage and assets, and they don't spend it right away.
And because of this drop in the stock market, people who could afford to lease got out of the market.
Right.
And because they lost their homes, so many people lost their homes, whatever savings you had, you used to try to save your house and to try to, reimagine your life, if you will, and recreate
exactly
your right.
right.
And so you got a greater disparity in standards of living, and that's where we are today.
And now we're at this point where, so this is my view, is we're at this point where the feel-good part of the printing is now maybe moving into the third phase. And that third phase is, when I look at global cash balances, they're about 110% of global GDP. They've never been that high in the history of the world.
110%?
Yeah, so
Wow.
they're almost $90 trillion of cash, okay? And then if you include sovereign debt below 1% yield, which I call it a cash substitute,
right.
it's another 60% of global GDP.
It's crazy.
So historically, so today that number is 160, 170% together. Historically, that number's been 40%.